Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Rhea.
Welcome to Karma's My Bitch, a podcast about
sex,
love,
magic,
desire,
purpose,
bliss,
and how life isn't simply the stories we tell ourselves. The difference about how I show up is so different compared to where I started when we started recording this whole podcast and before. Because
it's been 5 years now. Oh
yeah,
God, almost
Jesus.
6.
I know.
2019, Rhea.
Fucking hell.
I know you this long. Wow.
I know. You've seen all the different versions of me.
How?
Because in my karma, I was always kind of making myself small.
Oh my God.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it didn't matter. Like, it wasn't about like an ego thing. It was definitely a sense of like, because I had obviously had a lot of personality, but I just always shrunk myself to fit. So how someone else would see me was far more important than me being myself.
And I think what also affected you a lot with that was you were also a bit of a people pleaser.
Yeah.
People pleasing people. Sorry, that sounded odd. But people pleasers, they do tend to in interesting ways. So they'll shrink according to who they're with. Other people will just shrink in general, right? Like they'll just be like, I'm small and I'm just going to stay this way. And some of them will call it humility. No, I'm just being humble. When in reality, you're just not being your fullest self.
Yes. And we discussed this a lot in the previous season about being our fullest selves. Mm-hmm. But it's funny because when I think about magic, I almost overextended myself.
Yeah. In what way?
Like, you know how we spoke a lot in season 12 about being the most beautiful person in the room?
Was that season 12, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I did not get tired of that at all.
No. But you walk into a room and you're like, almost like, I'm better than everyone.
Yeah.
Because it's not from an ego place, but like, I'm so great. And there's like, there is humility there, but there's no real like kind of I thou there in the same way.
No, because
it's just I.
It's a lot of I, and then there's the thou, but you're like over there.
Yeah. You're still thouing, but like there, and I'm eyeing all up in here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the space between I and thou is really big because I'm taking all of that up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because it's like because we're experiencing our power to such a degree that we're like, look out.
Yeah. And
Watch
I'm just like, I want to do this, so I'm doing this. I want to do this, so I'm doing this. Like, you're also so, I don't know how to say this differently, but surprised by your own magic. It's such a rush.
Yes.
You know, and we've discussed this before about how sometimes it's not necessarily about what the thing that you see coming true, but the fact that you saw it coming true is the big bit. Yeah. Oh my God, I can trust myself. Oh my God, my knowing was right. Oh my God, I am God. That's the high. The high isn't he texted me or that I got this discount or whatever it is that you're imagining or envisaging or desiring. It's, I did it. Mm-hmm. That's the big bit. So you do really, the world becomes kind of like one and everyone's kind of like playing in that.
Yes, absolutely.
But then at some point this shift happens where you're like, actually, I want to share this differently. From a relationship perspective, I want this to be mutual in a real I that way. And with everything else, I'm just kind of at one with it. So it's just, our being becomes this kind of like given.
Yes, it really does.
And yeah, like I'm going to see stuff and it's going to happen and that's going to be cool. But also you're going to have a hand in that and that's going to be your choice. And that's even cooler that we're coming together in this way.
Yeah. Suddenly we can start sharing.
Yes, that's probably the best way.
Yeah, and I think that's why we talked about prosperity in the previous season, towards the end of the previous season, because we are building these 2 seasons. We're sort of braiding them because that's what bliss looks like. When we start to get into bliss, our being becomes immeasurable because we are the divine, right? We come through this realization as we realize our fullest power through magic that I'm not just a divine being, but I am the divine, which we can't fully realize that when we're in separation. Even in our most spiritual or religious self, you know, we think we're still products of the divine. That's about as great as or close as you're going to get is I'm about as close to the divine as I can be because I've realized that I am somehow a divine being, right? Because God has imbued me with, God has created me, etc. And I've done everything I've needed to or I can do in this human body to be as close to the divine as possible.
To actually understand that you are part of that in a bigger way.
Yes.
Pretty fucking cool.
Oh, it's It's amazing, and it's what we're here for. And not realizing that still keeps us in a bit of separation, or at least keeps us tied to the separation world, in which the underpinning belief is I and God are not one. Just going to put that out there because I don't think we've said that for seasons now. So I was like, no, we've been using separation a lot. And I was like, for people who might just be listening, we use the term separation to describe the world in which we live. But separation is well served if we are not our full selves. And I know for the past couple of years, there's been a real emphasis, especially I think that word was batted about 2 years ago, authenticity, to be your authentic self, which in itself to me was a bit inauthentic, a concept. But
well, because also when they're talking about authenticity in that way, it's just like, I'm just going to say how I feel or my
or
favorite.
what I think.
No, or like, the whole thing about like, if you can't take me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. Like, I'm just like,
I'm gonna hate that one.
Like, what does that even mean? We're just ourselves. Stop being so extra.
But in bliss world and in oneness, there's no such thing as being extra when you are your full self. But you don't know this full self until you're out of your karma and you've settled the ego and you don't have anything driving you but pure love and power, as in divine power.
Because you can't actually be extra in that place, right? Because you're championing compassion, you're championing tolerance, you're letting everyone do their own thing, and you're doing your own thing. If anything, you're so zen and chill.
Oh, yeah.
Whilst also being quite powerful in that, that actually people are more drawn to you. Mm-hmm. And it's not something you can fake either. It's just, I'm out of my closet. I inspire you to come out of yours, but you do you, babe. I do me.
Yeah.
And together we do we. And it's a really nice space.
Yeah.
What?
No, I just love it. We do we.
Yeah, we do we. I love that.
Like
we do we. That's my new favorite thing.
Don't think I've ever heard you say it.
Because it's true, when two people come together who are fully themselves, they do create something very special that is only able to be created from that space. Mm-hmm. And it is a magnification of their own light and their own love, reflected in each other, experienced with each other, and then sent out into the world. It's really beautiful and really special. Yeah. But that can't happen when, your karma, you're not turning up yourself, or in magic, you're muting everyone else. So it's just this really nice space of like, so it's not about being extra. It's not about being worst or best or somewhere in the middle. You're just you. Mm-hmm. And that because you're so comfortable being you, and because you've had so many experiences where you've let yourself be you within, and you're able to do that with someone else, it's a really generous space of grace and freedom.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. To the point where when we can be our fullest self, we know that we are capable of allowing the space for somebody to be their fullest selves, right? Because we know what it takes for us. Yeah. Hence the compassion and the tolerance, because we're meant to get to this place, and we see it with these younger generations. We're going to see it more and more, which is absolutely they cannot be contained. That beingness, that greatness, we're getting to a point where we couldn't even shove it into a closet if we tried.
Yeah.
We couldn't find a closet big enough, really. So it would force us to really contort to be able to fit, to the point where it's like, well, what's the point if I can't be me? But the point of karma is to get us to own and see who we are, who that me really is. And it is really difficult in a world that constantly wants to shape us. And I don't mean in just a way in which it wants to shape our values or morals or beliefs, but in a way in which we almost adapt to the point where even who we become is a reaction to that. So even that becomes not real either. So the point is, we have to be able to drill down so deep to own who that divine self is. I know that sounds really boring.
No, but I just think about, I think about that quote, that Rumi quote about like, our job is not to seek love, but to remove all the barriers, right?
Yes.
Which I've butchered, but whatever.
It's okay. Paraphrasing Rumi is fine. It still sounds really smart.
It sounds super smart. But that's effectively what it is. It's about removing every single thing that we have created within ourselves that tell us we cannot be our natural, purest essence. Mm-hmm. And that's a trial in itself to do. Mm-hmm. And then once you're out on the other side, there is nothing you can do but be that.
Absolutely. It's not easy when we've built up a lot of armor.
But that's why we do all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why there are like 1 million seasons before this one and 1 million books. Because once you're in the space, so many words, to like, hopefully one of them will resonate. Because like, once you're in the space, you're just like, it looks like you don't give a shit. It looks like, oh yeah, no, but you really do. You really care.
You care so much that even in your interactions, you might seem to care a lot, even if you don't. So in a lot of these interactions you end up having, when you're in bliss and you are your full self, and you cannot, like, you literally can never backtrack. You will never be able to backpedal. You can only be that self pretty much all the time, because the portal to the old self is closed. You've gone through that door that we talked about in the previous season, into the unwritten part of your fate. And that powerful person is being developed in every single interaction you have. And you're seeing it and you're experiencing it. You end up having a certain amount of space. Do you remember, like, when you go into bliss, there's space? It's not voidy space, really, but you're experiencing your physical self in the physical world differently. Because your consciousness is that great and that big. It's just your full awareness all the time. And when you have that level of full awareness, you cannot help but just be like, oh, this is me here in this room, in this interaction I'm having. And you're not being cerebral about it, where you're like scripting this interaction, but you're also just hyper aware that everything that you say and everything that you do is having an impact, and you're seeing it from every single angle. So adjusting to that sensory part of yourself by also understanding that you are occupying a much larger space than you have ever before. It can feel like a lot. But again, you can't possibly ever go back, because you wouldn't even know how to start to shrink yourself anymore. It's a bit like when something comes out of a compressor bag and it comes and it like expands. You almost can't flatten it enough to get it back in.
Yeah. The more I allowed myself to be me, and the more I allowed myself to see me, the more I became the person who I wanted to see. I feel when it came to my body, I wanted an excuse for why I had to be small, why it was okay that things didn't go my way. I almost wanted to give an excuse to karma, right? That's why. So what would happen is, even if I started to lose weight, even if I started to become the person who I knew I could be, the reaction would be to go and put it back on immediately. Even if it was subconscious. And yes, it was a barrier between me and the world. Yes, it was a form of protection. Yes, it was all those things. But it was also if I'm fully myself and I'm really fulfilling my potential physically, what then? So unknown. But the more I just started eating and being what felt natural to me, rather than anything else, it kind of slowly started to change. It was just merely a choice.
Yeah.
That just shifted how I then, it's like that one yes leads to so many other yeses. It's that same thing, but the other way, where I was just like, I want to do myself justice now. Don't get me wrong. There are still days where I'm like, we don't love ourselves all the time like that physically. It's natural. It's normal. I'm still human. And that's actually, for me, Rhea, huge difference.
Yeah.
When actually, as we joked, cardio was my trigger word. Trauma.
It was, but not anymore. We're going to try to like put that out there. And I'm like, cardio, yay. The one thing about making that choice is you can only make that choice from a place of love, and not even, I love myself, or it's self-love. No. But my light has to be out there. And this is how it has to be done. And so that choice contains that momentum. It brings about the momentum that we have, that we put towards everything we do, right? And eventually that becomes divine will if we move into bliss.
But all the roles in our relationships shift, right? And it's not just the relationships with each other, but the ones within ourselves. Like, for me to turn around and be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm ready to not hide anymore.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's huge. And that's for two reasons, right? The first is the momentum that we talked about. You need that full power to be able to design your life. If you're in that unwritten part of your fate, you can't be kind of like operating at low speed. You really want to be doing and moving and creating all the time. So again, you're not making choices from this desperate place of like, well, I don't, where it's a reaction to something, which is where karma comes in. Like, I have to work on my body because I don't feel good about myself.
Yeah, no.
It's I take care of my health because I want to continue to feel good. There's kind of this idea that doing XYZ and following a particular formula can kind of get you there.
Yeah, but
as we
I
know,
don't even look at it from that way.
No, and that's what I'm saying is you can mental body that and look at everybody else's list of what's best, but that's ego work, right? I'm going to subscribe to this because I'll feel better if I just do what everybody tells me to do.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is your personal best is what you figured out was best for you by going through also, the karmic undoing process and listening to yourself.
Yeah, but also it was, I'm not doing this so someone else will like me. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing this so I will like myself. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this because it's time that I'm fucking seen for who I really am.
Because the divine wants to be seen. You know, I want to be seen for who I am is a really big phrase. It is a very big statement because it's actually not something we've ever done before in this world, not genuinely. And it needs to be bigger. It's not the again, even if you've done a lot of quote unquote work on yourself, is the I am a real I am presence, or is that I am shaped in response to your trauma, your relationships, your work, etc.? Or is it genuinely the divine self at play? Yeah. And that's the second piece. How we can be so extra is it's the fun that we talked about in the previous episode. The fullness of our being, as you were saying, it's all light. And the lighter we are, the more we can play. And we have no density. So we get to be, it's like the balloon. We just get to be bigger and bigger the more light we have. And when we share, it's not about giving ourselves away, which is all we've known in separation as well. Yeah. I become this for you. I do this for you. And every time it becomes about or for someone else, we lose bits of ourselves because we keep giving it away, right? And so what happens is that we start to get depleted. But in bliss, remember, we are even prior to bliss, post karma, we're having to learn to source and be sourced, as in we are our own source. And that's how we tap into, again, source energy and the divine. But we need all that because we have to be able to create from a place where we can source everything so we can write that bit of our lives. And it's a lot of energy.
But not just that. It's going to be hard to do that in a world that's still steeped in separation, right?
Hence, it requires a lot of energy.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You're like, not just that. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but it makes sense. All my decisions, I look crazy most of the time. And sometimes even I'm like, to myself, I look crazy. But you just kind of, or should I tone things down? Or should I, maybe kind of hedge my bets a little? And then I'm just like, but I can't. This is why I'm here. No. I'm here for this.
No.
I want to, and we said it, and I've said this so many times across all the seasons, live as me or die trying just becomes, as we've said in season 12, it just becomes live as me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm here to be this fullest expression of me. And for every one of my bodies to be the personal best it can be for me, knowing that it could get better or it could change, and I'll have compassion and tolerance for that too. And otherwise, why would I bother?
No. I mean, if we cannot be the fullest essence of, who we are at our very core, then what's the point? And we have said in I think it was Karmic Affair, the point is love. So it comes back to that every single time. Isn't that beautiful, Rhea?
I'm so into it.
Yay.
This episode is brought to you by Karma Magic Bliss. For more information, resources, and links to our books, check out our website, karmamagicbliss.com, and Karma Magic Bliss across all socials.
And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.